Joining us, staff writer for The Atlantic and MS Now political analyst Ashley Parker, writer who covers national politics for the New York Times opinion section, Michelle Cottle. Chris Jansing back with us as well. So the housing bill has been sent to the president. It awaits his signature. If he does not sign it, it will go into law, I think, in 10 days or so. And if he vetoes it, that's a whole nother problem. Chris Jansing, let's talk about how Democrats are trying to seize the moment. The president is not on the same page as American voters, his voters included, when it comes to the economy. They're talking about affordability and the cost of living. Donald Trump does not seem to think that it's a big deal.
Yeah, and they're taking it. The Democrats are taking advantage of it. I saw it last week with Zohran Mamdani and Bernie Sanders. I saw it with Keisha Lance Bottoms and again with Jon Ossoff just this weekend. Look, he was aggressive against Donald Trump. He was scathing. He spent most of his speech not going against the guy who Donald Trump wants to be the next senator, Mike Collins, but going against Trump himself. And you heard a little bit of it. Warren Iran, the reflecting pool, inflation. And he really had the audience in the palm of his hand for 26 minutes. They were reacting to almost every line he gave. Listen to what he had to say about the cost of living, essentially.
Donald Trump and his puppet, Mike Collins. They doubled health insurance premiums for more than 1 million Georgians and threw 300,000 Georgians off their insurance altogether. I heard from a woman with cancer who waits tables for a living and said she was going to lose her health coverage in the middle of chemotherapy. And they did this to pay for a tax cut that went overwhelmingly to the rich and to corporate America. Did you know about Savannah? Savannah, I never want to hear these two pretend they give a damn about working people again.
And tied to that, Katie, I think he got his biggest ovation when he took unbelievable hits at Jared Kushner. He talked essentially about corruption, how Jared Kushner wants to use, his power as the son-in-law to do a development in Albania when he supposedly is the Middle East envoy, and brought up the fact that we, as a Congress, will put him under questioning when next year comes, which is exactly what Democrats want to hear. They want to hear that there's going to be some accountability, and Democratic candidates, one after another, including Ossoff, are playing that.
He's been very strong, or he's been beating the drum pretty loudly on corruption in a way that I've not seen from other Democrats, at least not as clearly. By the way, there's another deal that we're going to talk about in the 3 p.m. hour having to do with the Trump family. All right, let's continue on with how other Democrats are trying to fill this vacuum that Donald Trump has left. Here's James Tallarico in Texas.
Our state is being taken over by a new kind of tyrant, billionaire megadonors. They're not invading with an army. They're just buying the system. They divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, so we don't notice that they're picking our pockets.
And the Democrats are trying to tie those mega billionaires to Donald Trump.
This is what you're supposed to do in a midterm, Katie. It is a referendum on the sitting president, and this sitting president is, one, wildly unpopular, and two, keeps making very clear that he does not have any interest in affordability discussions. He has talked about, there was a report that he said he didn't give a bleep about housing, or that nobody gives a bleep about housing. I'm sorry. So that was his excuse for not signing the housing bill and instead focusing on his pet project, which is the SAVE Act. So it would be political malpractice for these Democratic candidates to not drill down on this. And again, it's everywhere. I've talked to Josh Turek in Iowa, who's the Democratic Senate nominee there. He's talking about the particular pains of the agricultural community and the rural community. I mean, I've talked to the Democratic candidate for governor in Nevada. I mean, this is not just on the national federal level. That is what you do. You go after the president.
Even in the tough races, or races that would, I guess, otherwise be tougher, Democrats are doing okay. Look at what's happening in Maine right now. Graham Plattner besought with controversy after controversy, and Bissett, excuse me, and now he is leading Susan Collins by 2 points. It's certainly still very close. But how much of all of this is lifting up candidates that otherwise might have had a harder time, Ashley?
Well, again, anytime you can run on the economy, either a good economy that you've helped provide, or in this case, a poor economy that you can blame on your opponent, the sitting president, is a gift. It is one of the easiest things to run on because this is something people feel tangibly in their day-to-day lives. So of all those clips you played, yes, you have the billionaires rigging the system. I mean, I was watching that and struck that this felt like something I could have heard him, you and I, Katie, probably did hear Donald Trump saying in 2016. He can't be bought, right? He's going to drain the swamp of these billionaires and this corruption. You can run against corruption. Those are all effective, but the most effective are the things that people feel every single day, that they had saved up money and been responsible and were planning to buy a house because they just had their first kid, and now they can't because of rising interest rates, which Trump promised would go down, that they can't go on the road trip they want this summer because of the cost of gas or the price of hotels. These are tangible things, just ask Joe Biden, that voters are acutely aware of. And even though Donald Trump is so good at spinning his own reality and making people believe it, the economics of someone's actual life is the one thing where they trust themselves over Donald Trump we've seen so far.